The moment Savannah Cole heard the name Logan Drake, her stomach twisted like a balloon animal. Standing in the center of the Arden Arts Center's sunlit atrium, she tightened her grip on the clipboard in her hand, the edges of her rose gold nails tapping against the metal ring. The stained glass skylight above cast a halo of color across the marble floors, a cathedral of creativity. And soon, if that smug billionaire had his way, it would be reduced to rubble. Savannah had fought for this place, for its programs, for the kids who took free after-school classes in watercolor and West African dance, for the seniors who met every Tuesday to rehearse Shakespeare with more passion than Broadway. And Logan Drake? He wanted to replace all of it with glass towers and valet parking. "Miss Cole," the security guard said nervously, eyeing her bright yellow pantsuit and large hair with caution, "Mr. Drake's press conference is starting. Should I let the reporters in?" Savannah narrowed her eyes at the closed double doors. She could hear the man himself inside already, smooth, cocky, probably flashing that smirk she'd seen on business magazine covers. "No," she said. "I have something to say first." Minutes later, with her heels clicking a battle rhythm across the terrazzo floor, Savannah burst through the doors of the small press hall. Logan Drake stood behind the podium, perfectly tailored in a charcoal suit, his steel gray eyes widening as he saw her. "Mr. Drake," Savannah said sweetly, "did you forget to tell people you're planning to evict the dance studio next month?" Murmurs rippled through the press. Logan blinked. "Miss Cole, this is neither the time nor the—" "Funny. That's what your office said when I requested a meeting. 3 times. She stepped up beside him, barely reaching his shoulder, but she didn't back down an inch. Her voice was crisp, clear, and projected like a Broadway pro. "This center has been a home to the community for over 60 years. Your plans may come with granite countertops, but they come at the cost of culture, connection, and creativity." Flashbulbs popped. Reporters leaned forward. Logan looked like he wanted to strangle someone, and it might have been her. She stepped back, proud of herself, and accidentally slammed the heavy wooden door behind her, with a click. The sound was unmistakable. The lock had tripped. Logan's mic was still hot. And through the speakers, Savannah, and the entire room, heard his deep, annoyed sigh. "God, she's exhausting. Who let her in?" "What is she? 5'2" of glitter and attitude. This is why I hate dealing with local hires." Click. The feed cut. But it was too late. Savannah slowly turned, one perfectly arched brow raised. "Oh, honey," she said. "That mic was live." The next morning, the clip had 2.3 million views on Twitter. By that afternoon, Logan Drake's PR team had issued a formal apology, and by Friday, the Arden Center's Board of Trustees had made a stunning announcement. "In the spirit of collaboration and healing, we're proud to announce that Savannah Cole and Logan Drake will co-chair the 75th Annual Arden Arts Gala." Savannah threw her phone onto her couch and groaned. She should have gotten him fired. Now she had to plan a black tie event with him, for the next 6 weeks. And according to social media, the entire city would be watching. "You look like sunshine and vengeance." That was the first thing Logan Drake said when Savannah Cole walked into the boardroom. She didn't flinch. In fact, she smiled, sharp and slow, like a queen acknowledging a jester's joke. "Good to see you, Mr. Drake. I see you brought your resting smug face." The other board members shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting between the two as if they were watching an unpredictable tennis match. Savannah strutted to the conference table and set her color-coded binder down with flair. She wore emerald green today, fitted blazer, pencil skirt, and towering heels that somehow made her 5'2" frame seem like 6 feet of wrath. Her natural curls were pulled into a high bun, gold hoops glinting under the lights. Logan across the table looked maddeningly composed in another made-to-measure suit, this time navy. He barely looked up from his tablet. "I see we're bringing school supplies to a knife fight," he murmured. Savannah didn't dignify that with a response. Instead, she turned to the board chair, Ms. Miriam Tolland, a petite woman in her 70s with a diamond brooch and the nerves of a bomb technician. So, Savannah said brightly, how exactly do you envision this partnership? Peacefully, Miriam replied with too much optimism. The public response to your incident was unprecedented, but it shows the passion both of you have. We want to channel that into this gala. Savannah shot Logan a look. He arched an eyebrow like he found her amusing, which only made her blood boil. The gala is 6 weeks away, Miriam continued. We want a theme, venue, entertainment, and major sponsors locked in within the next 2, and we expect both of your names on every decision. Logan's expression didn't change, but Savannah saw his jaw tick just slightly. Good. He hated this as much as she did. Fine, she said, but we need rules. I don't want him ghosting meetings or disappearing to Bali for business. Logan's lips quirked. I only ghost people who bore me, and I only work with people who respect the arts. Then we're both going to be very disappointed. Miriam clapped her hands, smiling tightly. Wonderful. I'll leave you two to begin brainstorming. We'll need a working title and an initial pitch deck by Monday. And with that she left them, alone in a glass-walled room with nothing but tension, caffeine, and corporate trauma between them. An hour later I still say twilight at the Arden. Sounds like a vampire prom, Logan said, sipping his espresso. Savannah rolled her eyes. It's romantic and refined. It's twilight. We'll have teenage girls showing up looking for Edward. You know a lot about that franchise for someone who claims not to care about art. I know about trends, Savannah. It's called staying relevant. Try it sometime. She groaned and stood up, pacing to the window. The Arden's courtyard was buzzing with young dancers rehearsing a modern jazz routine. She watched them for a moment, softening. You know, she said. Quieter now. I started here. When I was 8. My mom was working 2 jobs, barely had time to breathe. This place gave me somewhere to go after school. Logan glanced up. I got to pretend to be someone else for an hour. A queen, a space explorer, a girl who didn't have to think about unpaid bills. He said nothing, but something in his gaze shifted. You still perform? Savannah laughed. No, but I plan. I produce. And I make sure kids like me get their shot. He nodded. That's admirable. She looked at him sharply. Don't sound so surprised. He shrugged. Just recalibrating my assumptions. She crossed her arms. And what exactly were your assumptions, Logan? That you were going to be all glitter and no grit. Turns out you have both. The compliment, unexpected and sincere, made her blink. Her stomach did a strange little somersault. You're not who I thought either, she admitted. Oh? I figured you were just another soulless billionaire with a god complex. He grinned. I'm flattered. But now I see you're a soulless billionaire with a sense of humor. Later that week they met at the Botanical Gardens to scout venues. Savannah arrived early, clipboard in hand, eyes scanning the glass pavilion with its draped twinkle lights and floor-to-ceiling blooms. The place screamed gala glamour and budget explosion. Logan arrived 5 minutes late holding 2 coffees. Peace offering, he said, handing one to her. She took it warily. You didn't poison it? Not unless almond milk counts. She sipped. It was perfect. She hated that he knew how she liked her coffee already. They walked the venue in near silence. The tension was different now, not hostile, but heavy, like something was building, buzzing. Logan broke the silence first. You ever think you're fighting the wrong battle? Savannah tilted her head. I mean, what if preserving the building isn't the only way to save what happens inside it? Her mouth opened. Closed. You still planning to bulldoze it? He looked at her, unreadable. Not everything is what it seems. What does that even mean? He didn't answer. Instead, he turned back to the garden path. Come on, I think this space could work, with the right lighting. She followed, but her mind was still spinning. Friday evening, Savannah's apartment. She kicked off her heels and collapsed on the couch, scrolling through the shared gala planning folder on her tablet. To her surprise, Logan had already uploaded ideas, sponsorship targets, vendor quotes, even a preliminary budget forecast. He was doing the work? She tapped open a document titled Theme Brainstorm and saw a single line, Echoes of Art, Past, Present, Forever. She stared at it. It was beautiful, and it didn't sound like a man who only saw buildings as investment properties. Just then, her phone buzzed. Logan, did you see the file? Savannah. Yeah. Shocked you can write complete sentences. Logan. I have many hidden talents. Want to see my calligraphy next? Savannah. Only if you're writing your own resignation letter. Logan. Admit it. You're having fun. She stared at the screen. Was she? She looked around her living room. Art prints on the walls. Notebooks stacked on the coffee table. A half-finished sketch of the gala layout resting on her lap. And yeah, she was smiling. Maybe, just maybe, working with Logan Drake wasn't going to be hell. Maybe it would be something else entirely. Savannah did not like this. She did not like the way Logan Drake was laughing beside her as they stood over mood boards and swatches, tossing ideas back and forth like seasoned partners. She especially didn't like that his laugh, low, warm, completely unguarded, gave her goosebumps. No peacock feathers, he said, grinning. Savannah folded her arms. Why not? Because we're planning a gala, not a Mardi Gras float. She smirked. You lack vision. He tilted his head, mock thoughtful. And you lack restraint. I'm not hearing a denial. Logan chuckled, and Savannah bit back her own smile. It had been 3 weeks of working together. Endless meetings, vendor calls, site visits, spreadsheets, mood boards, and somewhere in between floral samples and fire marshal walkthroughs, she'd stopped bracing herself for the worst. Logan had started showing up on time, contributing real ideas, not just tolerating the work, but caring. And the dangerous part? She was starting to enjoy his company. Still, she kept her walls up. Logan Drake was charming, sure, but so were most storms, right before they destroyed everything in their path. Wednesday night at the Arden Center Ballroom, the gala was 1 week away. The ballroom echoed with potential and a bit of panic. Savannah was setting up a sample table layout, adjusting candles and centerpieces, when Logan arrived with 2 pizzas and a 6-pack of sparkling water. You brought food? She asked, stunned. I come bearing carbs, he said, holding up the box like a peace treaty. Figured you'd forget to eat again. She hesitated. You notice that? He shrugged and set everything down. You get that focused face, tight jaw, marching orders for everyone within 10 feet, total disregard for lunch. She blinked. Are you studying me? I'm observant, he replied, grabbing a slice. Also, I live in fear of being murdered by a hungry event planner. She snorted. Smart man. They sat on the ballroom floor, legs crossed, surrounded by half-assembled decorations. For the first time in days, the world felt quiet. So, she asked between bites, what made you get into real estate? Besides the yachts and tax loopholes, he didn't answer right away. My mom, he finally said, eyes distant. She was a painter, never made much. We moved around a lot. Cheap apartments, evictions, landlords who didn't fix the heat. I remember one winter, she got pneumonia because the place had no insulation. Savannah's smile faded. After she died, I told myself I'd never live like that again. So I built a life where I controlled the buildings, the land, the rules. Her voice was soft. And the arts center? He ran a hand through his hair. She came here once. Said it was the only place in the city where she felt seen. I didn't know that when I bought it. I just saw a prime lot. But after the incident, I started digging, found her name in the old volunteer records. Savannah stared. You've never told anyone that, have you? Logan gave a small, almost embarrassed smile. No, not even my board. Her chest tightened. Suddenly he wasn't a smug developer with a smirk. He was a son with old wounds, doing the only thing he knew to protect himself. "I'm sorry," she said. He nodded, grateful. The air between them thickened. "You have something here," he murmured, eyes not leaving hers. "The way you fight for people, the way you make things beautiful. It's kind of incredible." Savannah swallowed hard. "You're really bad at pretending you're a villain." "I know," he said, voice low. "I'm even worse at pretending I don't like you." Her breath caught. And then, without thinking, she leaned in. Their faces were inches apart. His hand brushed her knee, her lashes fluttered. But before their lips met, her phone rang. Loud. Abrupt. Reality. Savannah jumped back like she'd been burned, grabbing her phone and muttering, "Sorry, it's the florist." Logan nodded, clearing his throat. "Right. Work." They didn't speak of it again, but the almost kiss hung between them like a chandelier no one dared swing. The next morning, Savannah awoke to chaos. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Texts, alerts, emails. Tasha, her best friend, messaged, "Girl, check the news. You and Logan are trending." She opened Twitter. Her stomach dropped. Sav Logan, Daesh Gala power couple, enemies to lovers IRL. Photos of them from the night before, her laughing as Logan poured sparkling water into wine glasses, him reaching out to tuck a curl behind her ear, were everywhere. Someone had filmed them through the ballroom windows, and the world had opinions. Savannah's phone rang. It was Miriam from the board. "Good morning, dear. The coverage is electrifying." "Miriam, nothing happened, I know, but the media thinks something did, and the donors love it. We've had 5 new high-tier sponsors in the last hour. I suggest you lean in." "Lean into what?" "To the narrative," Miriam said gently. "Savannah, you and Logan are the face of this gala. Whether or not it's real, well, that's your business." Later, in Logan's office, Savannah barged in, holding her phone like a sword. "You saw this?" Logan leaned back in his chair, barely hiding a smile. "We're adorable, apparently. This isn't funny." "No. But it is helpful. Donations have doubled." She stared at him. "You're okay with this? People thinking we're together?" He paused. "Are you?" Savannah hesitated. He stood and crossed the room slowly. "If you're worried this is just PR, it's not." She looked up at him, heart thudding. "Then what is it?" Logan cupped her chin gently. "It's me trying to figure out how someone like you walked into my life and made it feel less empty." Her defenses cracked. But before she could respond, his assistant poked her head in. "Mr. Drake, you have a call from Horizon Developments. They want to make an offer on the Arts Center lot. Twice what you paid." Savannah's blood ran cold. She stepped back. "You're selling it?" Logan's eyes widened. "Savannah." "No," she said, voice shaking. "I knew this was all for show. You used me. Again. Wait, I didn't accept. You didn't have to. You still plan to cash out." She turned and stormed out before he could say another word. Behind her, Logan cursed under his breath. Everything was unraveling, and this time it wasn't just PR. It was personal. The night of the Arden Arts Gala arrived like a dream teetering on the edge of disaster. Savannah stood in the grand entrance of the Arts Center, temporarily transformed into a fairy tale of lights, live music, and floating candle installations, feeling utterly hollow. She had done everything right. Every detail was perfect. The red carpet, the jazz trio in the courtyard, the auction paddles embossed in gold foil. Her team had outdone themselves. And yet, Logan hadn't called. Not since the Horizon Developments offer. Not since she'd stormed out of his office 2 days ago. Not a word. Now he was late. Typical billionaire behavior. Savannah adjusted her gown. A deep sapphire velvet with a high slit and off-the-shoulder sleeves, and tried to hold her head high as guests trickled in, dazzled and excited. Photographers snapped pictures. Donors shook hands. And Savannah smiled through it all, refusing to show even a flicker of disappointment. But her chest ached. She hadn't wanted to fall for Logan Drake. He was everything she swore she'd avoid. Rich, guarded, infuriating. But he'd also brought her food when she forgot to eat. He remembered how she liked her coffee. He told her about his mother. And he had nearly kissed her like she was the only woman in the world. Now she wasn't sure if she'd ever meant anything at all. Across town, Logan sat parked outside the arts center, staring at the grand facade. He was supposed to be inside, smiling, giving speeches, playing the part. But all he could think about was the look on Savannah's face when she thought he'd betrayed her. He hadn't accepted the offer. He'd told Horizon no. He'd ignored the calls, deleted the emails, because none of it mattered, not compared to her. He looked down at the velvet box in his hand. Not a ring. He wasn't that reckless, but something else. Something that might say what words couldn't. He took a deep breath and got out of the car. It was time. Inside the gala, Savannah was standing by the stage, clipboard in hand, directing final transitions before the program began. She had just nodded for the stage lights to dim when she heard the murmurs ripple through the crowd. She turned, and there he was, Logan Drake, in a tux that fit him like sin and salvation, striding into the ballroom like he owned the world. She hated how her heart leapt. He approached slowly, carefully. "You look like you belong in a museum. Or maybe a dream." She blinked. "You're late." "I had to be sure." "Sure of what?" Logan reached into his pocket and pulled out the velvet box. He opened it slowly. Inside sat a vintage fountain pen, gold-plated, engraved. She squinted. "What is—" "It belonged to my mother," he said quietly. "She wrote poetry, dreamed of publishing a book one day." Savannah's breath caught. "I want you to have it," he continued, "because you reminded me why places like this matter, why art matters, why she mattered." She stared at him, stunned. "I didn't sell the building," he added. "I told Horizon to take a hike. We're keeping the art center and converting the upper floors into an artist-in-residence program, affordable housing for creatives. I already spoke to the board." Her eyes filled with tears. "You did that?" she whispered. "I stayed because of you, Savannah. You changed everything." She covered her mouth with her hand, struggling to breathe. Logan took a step closer. "This, what we have, it's not PR. It's not strategy. It's real. And I'd like the chance to prove that to you, if you'll let me." For a long moment, all she could do was stare at him. Then, slowly, she closed the pen box, took his hand, and led him to the stage. On stage, minutes later, the spotlight glowed softly. The guests quieted. The orchestra played a gentle cue. Savannah stepped to the mic, hand still entwined with Logan's. "Good evening," she began, voice steady despite her racing heart. "Tonight isn't just about raising funds, it's about reclaiming stories." The audience leaned in. For years, this center has nurtured the unheard, the unseen, the artists who felt invisible in a loud, crowded world. She looked at Logan. He nodded. "Thanks to a very generous change of heart," she added, her voice catching slightly, "this space will continue to thrive. Not just as a center, but as a sanctuary for those chasing beauty in a broken world." The applause started soft, then built into a standing ovation. Savannah stepped back, and Logan pulled her gently off stage. In the shadows behind the curtain, he leaned in. "Can I kiss you now?" She smiled. "If you don't, I'm firing you." He didn't need more encouragement. Their lips met, soft, then deep. She melted into him, the world blurring around them. It wasn't for cameras or damage control. It was real. It was hers. 1 month later, Savannah sat at the rooftop terrace of the now-renovated Arden Center, sketching layout ideas in her notebook. Her curls danced in the breeze, and the smell of espresso floated from the nearby cafe they'd recently opened, Verity, named after Logan's mother. Logan walked up behind her, wrapped an arm around her waist, and kissed her temple. "How's the community mural coming?" he asked. "Better than I imagined," she said. "The kids are thriving." He looked down at her sketchbook. "You still planning that jazz night?" "Mm-hmm. And salsa Wednesdays. Maybe even a karaoke lounge in the basement." He laughed. "Just don't make me sing. You owe me one rendition of Ain't No Mountain High Enough." That was the deal. He groaned playfully. "You drive a hard bargain." She turned and faced him, looping her arms around his neck. "You're lucky I'm worth the trouble." Logan smiled, brushing her cheek. "That's what I've been trying to tell you." And with the sun dipping behind the skyline, the two of them kissed again. No longer enemies, no longer pretending. Just real, just right, just home. The Arden Art Center was no longer just a building. It was a heartbeat. And Savannah Cole stood at the center of it, barefoot on the rooftop garden, clipboard in one hand, a cup of lavender chai in the other, watching a group of teenagers paint a mural of phoenixes on the wall below. The kids were laughing, covered in paint, music playing from someone's Bluetooth speaker. It smelled like sunlight and acrylic and promise. Exactly what she always dreamed this place could be. "Don't forget to blend the wings," Savannah called out with a grin. "I got you, Miss Cole," one of the girls yelled back. She smiled to herself and turned toward the rooftop lounge, newly built, artfully modern, and now open every Friday night for open mic poetry and jazz under the stars. It was her idea. Well, hers and Logan's. A soft breeze curled through the terrace, lifting her curls as footsteps approached from behind. She didn't have to turn around to know it was him. "I think you're officially more popular than the mayor," Logan murmured, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Savannah leaned back against his chest. "Well, I did manage to launch 3 programs, a gallery rotation, a scholarship fund, and somehow convince a bunch of real estate execs to sponsor midnight ballet in the courtyard." Logan chuckled, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Don't forget you also convinced me to wear linen to an outdoor salsa night." "You looked very sexy," she said, sipping her chai. "I looked like a confused cruise director." "You looked like a man in love," she teased. "Still am." Savannah turned then, facing him, sliding her hand into his shirt collar. "Good. Because I'm not done building yet." Logan smiled. "Neither am I." Behind them, a group of residents from the artist-in-residence apartments began setting up for a rooftop film screening, folding chairs, pillows, string lights. Savannah watched them with pride. "You know," she said softly, "a year ago, I thought you were the enemy." He brushed his knuckles down her cheek. "I was. Arrogant, transactional, emotionally constipated." She laughed. "Your words, not mine. But you changed that," he said gently. "You reminded me of who my mother was, of what it means to build something lasting, something meaningful." She swallowed, eyes soft. "And you reminded me that not every rich man is a villain. Just most of us? 85%. They laughed, and Logan leaned in, kissing her slowly. Not rushed, not viral, just real. The laughter of children echoed from below. The mural gleamed in the sun. The art center thrived, and Savannah, for the first time in her life, felt entirely, profoundly at home. As they pulled apart, she whispered against his lips, "You know what I want next? A puppy? A wedding," she said with a wicked glint. "Big, dramatic, and absolutely ridiculous." He raised an eyebrow. "You're proposing to me?" "I'm proposing chaos," she said, grabbing her clipboard again. "Are you in?" He took her hand. "Always. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Bye. See you in our next video.